My story is about banking yet again. Over 800 banks filed to allow cannabis businesses, according to a FinCEN report. Banking institutions are in a race to allow cannabis businesses ahead of the imminent changes in the way cannabis is classified at the federal level, according to federal data. Cannabis remains prohibited at the federal level, but the U.S. Health and Human Services Department recommendation to reclassify cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 will literally change everything. Normal reports that there's a spike in the number of banking institutions that are filing to work with cannabis businesses as the fear of repercussions subsides. According to quarterly data provided by the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, which is FinCEN, Bureau of the United States Department of Treasury, over 800 banks and credit unions have filed paperwork with the U.S. government acknowledging their relationships with licensed cannabis businesses. FinCEN reports that 812 banks and credit unions reported that they are actively working with cannabis companies during the second quarter of fiscal year 2023. It's a record high since FinCEN first started tracking these numbers. It represents a significant rise from last year's numbers when they identified 553 banks, 11% of the U.S. banks, 202 credit unions. FinCEN said they issued guidance to clarify Bank Secrecy Act, known as the BSA, expectations for financial institutions seeking to provide medical or seeking to provide services to marijuana related businesses, or MRBs. The report, which is available for download, reads, and I quote, FinCEN guidance clarified how financial institutions can provide services to marijuana related businesses consistent with their BSA obligations and aligns the information provided by financial institutions, BSA reports, federal and state law enforcement priorities. Since 2014, guidance specifies three phases describing a financial institution's relationship to marijuana related businesses. One is called the Marijuana Limited, which means the financial institution provides financial services to an MRB that the financial institution reasonably believes, based on its customer due diligence, does not implicate one of the Cole Memo priorities or violate state law. Number two is marijuana priority. Means the financial institution provides financial services to an MRB that the financial institution reasonably believes, based on its customer due diligence, implicates one of the Cole Memo priorities or violates state law. And number three is marijuana termination, means the financial institution deems it necessary to terminate a relationship with an MRB in order to maintain an effective anti-money laundering compliance program. Normal leaders discussed the topic with The Hill last May and said, no industry can operate safely, transparently, or effectively without access to banks or other financial institutions. It is self-evident that the players in the industry, especially smaller and minority-owned businesses, and those consumers that are served by it will remain severely hampered without better access to credit and financing, according to Deputy Director Paul Armentano of Normal. According to a survey compiled last year by Whitney Economics, over 70% of cannabis businesses that were asked said the lack of access to banking or investment capital is their top challenge. FinCEN began providing guidance to the cannabis businesses in 2014 with the goal to help banking institutions operate while cannabis remains illegal at the federal level. Yahoo News reported earlier this month that the HHS recommendation to reclassify cannabis from a Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 drug could transform the cannabis industry and create new opportunities for banking institutions. Scheduling cannabis to Schedule 3 may allow dispensaries to accept credit card payments. Richard Laderman, former head of global treasury for Visa and co-founder and chair of Standard C, said, credit card payments may supplant cash transactions if this occurs, reducing the risks and costs associated with cash-only operations. Cannabis banking expert Robert Barron said, while changes will inevitably occur, financial institutions looking to serve this market segment must implement risk management tools to evaluate and monitor cannabis businesses. This is where Standard C's business underwriting and monitoring tools are perfectly suited meet their Bank Secrecy Act and customer due diligence obligations. HHS recommendation to reclassify cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 will be a pivotal step. first of its kind at the federal level to make the cannabis industry safer for everyone. I'm Todd Dankin with High at 9 News. Do we think safe banking is around the corner?
Todd,
Yes.
I feel like this is good news.
Oh,
I feel like this is good news. So my question is this with all these banks anticipating the passage of safe banking that they're filing all this paperwork?
Oh, that's right. They want to get in before any rules are made, but yes, they want to get in before the next guy.
Now question Gretchen, question for you, Gretchen. If safe banking doesn't get a vote and we have a government shutdown and it doesn't get the opportunity to get passed, would the fact that these banks are filing this paperwork would that enable them to be able to work with cannabis businesses going forward without safe banking?
One more time. What?
So the paperwork that they filed, would that enable them to start working with cannabis companies? Because there's a number of different banks that work with different cannabis companies and just take the risk and charge charges. So would this put them in that category?
For these guys going forward and what they were suggesting in this article was based more on the possibility of Schedule 3. I don't think it has to do with safe. Because currently people can absolutely bank with banks. There are many FinCEN guidelines on how to do it. As for the government shutdown, that's still yet to be seen. The markup for SAFE is still happening tomorrow. And it is not a new Congress anytime soon.
That's true.
Plenty of time to do a vote on SAFE if these jackasses, your besties, close down this joint.
I hope they do.
At the end of the week.
I hope they close it down.
If they do close it down, it ain't going to stay closed. There's plenty of time to vote.
I know that. That's true.
Another thing that I learned last week during the Congressional Black Caucus, while my colleagues were lobbying on Capitol Hill, is that the letter from HHS never mentions Schedule 3. It just mentions rescheduling, and they're allowing the DEA to actually decide what that scheduling will look like. So that's something that I learned that I didn't realize after that information. The press, the media are the ones that are taking on
spinning the Schedule 3.
Rescheduling it. Yeah, so that's not what the HHS letter said. And how about this fun fact? We've never seen the HHS letter, so we don't know what it says.
Actually,
we're just getting.
We covered a story, Nicole, while you were gone, on the fact that there never was an HHS letter and that she misspoke during her testimony, so to say.
Well, no, that's a different letter.
That's a different letter?
True.
That's a different letter.
Oh,
She's suggesting in that story that President Biden did not send her a letter to start the investigation.
Got it.
That's
okay.
what that's about.
Yeah, that was that story. I remember that story.
Okay.
So yeah, it was she apologized for misspeaking that the president sent the letter, not HHS. HHS did send a letter.
Okay.
We just haven't
perjury, but in Washington speak, it's I misspoke.
Yeah.
Letter came out August 29th, and it's quoted, the Secretary of Health and Human Services and Attorney General to initiate the administrative process to review expeditiously how marijuana is scheduled under federal law.
Right. Does not mention scheduling, like moving it from a Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. It just mentions rescheduling. So so we can guess all day where they might put it. I love Gigi's recommendation to make it to take it off the scheduling, but make it like a nutraceutical. And
I support that.
That's
you too.
Right. Yeah. So I just another fun fact that I learned while on the Hill this last week during Congressional Black Caucus, and some of the things that my colleagues and I were able to get a better understanding of as we await the DEA's decision.
Sounded really cool when you said what I learned on the Hill.
I just hope that bill goes through. That will block the DEA and the HHS from being able to do any of this and put it back in the hands of Congress. But nonetheless,
no chance in hell.
I know. I can hope. I can wishfully hope. You know,
just like those people in Palestine are wishing for a new economy.
Well, I agree with you on that one. They definitely are wishing for a new economy, Gretchen. That is for sure, and it definitely is not going to be that little shop. That's for sure. But I
should move to an economy if they want to be in an economy.